Healing Through Expression, the Transformative Power of Arts in Mental Health. So I'll introduce our panelists and also the panel moderator. So we have Murad Ansary, who is the Commonwealth Asia Youth Award winner of 2025, and also CEO of Psycure, a mental health organization based in Bangladesh. We also have Nereus, Mensah Gyasi, a cognitive rehabilitation student. Yep. Correct me if I have got any of this wrong or mispronouncing names as well. And also CEO of Nereus Support Network based in Ghana. And we also have Faith Elisaria. Do we have Faith Elisaria here? I can't actually see on the screen, but oh, is Faith? Oh yeah, hi Faith. Great. Faith Elisaria, a UN Sustainable Development Goals champion and founder of Fave Care Space based in Tanzania. Our panel chair for the session is Ayesha Ali, a Goodwill ambassador for youth leaders in arts and health, also a MBBS candidate and global health advocate, and founder of Students for Climate Action Pakistan. Also a Commonwealth Youth Health Network coordinator for the Commonwealth Secretariat. I'll hand it over to you, Ayesha.
All right, thank you so much, Priya. And the title of our panel discussion for today is Healing Through Expression, the Transformative Power of Arts in Mental Health. In this panel discussion, we hope to draw from the lived experiences and professional insights from our panelists who joined us today. And they really pioneered initiatives in mental health and community healing within their own respective regions. And with this discussion, we hope to inspire, inform, and ignite collaborations which center the arts as an instrument of social change and psychological support. So we're going to be beginning with our first guiding question. And this will be asked to first Faith, we'll move on to Murad, and then we'll have Nereus close us off. And so the first question for the panelists is, in your respective context, how have the arts served as a bridge between mental health advocacy and community engagement, particularly among young people? So Faith, go ahead.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you all. My name is Faith Elisaria. I'm a lawyer, SDG Champion, and also a curator from the Fave Care Space. I represent Tanzania. Thank you. In my context, in Tanzania, the arts have been very powerful bridge to speak among our people in ways of formal discussion about the mental health. Sometimes it cannot only be through songs, we do it through poetry, dancing, people use that, and creative workshops to open up on conversation. So it usually helps on reducing stigma and make young people feel safe to engage. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to our next speaker, Murad Ansary.
Thank you, Ayesha, and good evening from Bangladesh. I'm Murad Ansary, a clinical psychologist and founder of a mental health startup. It's called Psycure. We're providing the mental health solution actually. Before diving on the question, if I give a bit information about our context, particularly in Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, we have only thousands of mental health professionals for 160 million people. And 90% of the professional practice in the capital, and you can imagine the situation outside of the capital. At the same time, our mental health budget is only 0.44%, not even a single percent of the total health budget. At the same time, 60 to 70% are invested on the global national institutions like hospital. But we have only 30% of budget for the prevention part. So we always say Prevention is better than cure, but where is the prevention? And how I want to connect, we talk about the mental health, and once is the prevention part, but it's a bit difficult to start the conversation about the access at the same time 11,000 people committed suicide every day, every year actually. So in this perspective, mental health is often overlooked and surrounded by the stigma. So to address all of the things, we launched one of our signature companies, Unwind Mind, where people express their inner thought and inner world to painting, digital art, and photography. If we talk about in the Bangladesh context, it's still taboo and see art as a luxury thing, and it's a technique, not a technical tools. So still we're working on it, and now people are moving on it and allow them to express their words through painting, digital art, and photography in a creative way. And I hope we'll dive more in the next part actually.
No, thank you for your insight. And that's also similar in Pakistan's context where I come from, where art is more seen as a luxury and now is being introduced as a therapeutic agent. So thank you. So now we'll have Nereus close us off for this segment.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I think my introduction has already been done, so I would go straight to answer the question. So, when you come to Ghana, I think we share similar experience with my fellow panel members where mental health is really stigmatized. So, whenever art comes into play, because people enjoy art, people enjoy singing, I mean music, people enjoy drawing. Because of that, whenever art comes into play with mental health, it creates a safe space, or let me say a relatable space where people are able to talk about things that they find difficult talking about in formal or normal settings. People are able to express themselves very well. And then also, art is able to speak the language of young people better than lectures and then even campaigns. I'm saying that because I've realized that things like poetry, spoken word, is able to open up discussions and conversations about a lot of mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and then all that. And then art is able to humanize the feelings of people. Sometimes these lectures and then these campaigns make the whole mental health issue very abstract. When people are able to express it through music, through spoken word, and then even through acting or drama, they're able to relate it with it on a personal level. So this is what I've seen in my context when it comes to mental health and then art. Thank you.
And thank you so much for your local insight with that, Nereus. And we move on to our next question. Can you share a specific initiative or moment in your work where creative expression tangibly impacted an individual's group or mental health journey? And please detail us on how it was impactful and what made it so effective. So, Faith, please go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, in one of the programs that we did in Tanzania, there is a program that we did was paint and sip, and people used a form of drawing to express their feelings. And one of the young person in our program shared their journey with depression through the drawing that explain on how they felt on their emotions. And it really encouraged others in the group to open up through like sharing their emotions through painting instead of speaking, you know. And it became the turning point where creativity built both healing and community. Thank you.
Thank you for that story, Faith. I'd love to hear from Murad next.
Okay, it's fine. As I share, one of our signature campaigns art business Unwind Mind, where people express their mental health, inner thought through painting, digital art, and photography. In the last 3 years, we connected more than 25,000 youth to start the conversation about the mental health. In Bangladesh, it's very expensive to access the mental health services. At the same time, I share we don't have enough mental health professionals. So people have to think about it, even though we don't share the word of the mental health. If I share that a scenario of our context, couple of days ago, one of our client come to our office and in downside of the office, she's looking outside of the road. Does anyone looking her or not actually? Even though people think if we share the mental health is seen as a weakness at the same time mad. So through our unwind mind program, so we people express the man on the mental health context through the painting, the art and photography. And every year we got more than thousands of submission, and top 45 we exhibit actually. One of our artists and a participant actually from the flood affected district in the Kurigram, so she shared a painting that the painting showing the broken house actually floating on the water with a single child holding a candle actually. Later she shared that these pictures actually really from her from the flashback and others kind of mental things. So even though she didn't get any space to share her to word with the others, so how this is the how actually unwind mind helping in our youth. We might not have infrastructure, we might not have enough professionals, but we have this platform where they can start their mental health journey together actually, where they can share their struggle, not even by the word, even through their creative artworks actually. So this is how actually in Bangladesh we're expressing the word of the mental health at the same time of art actually.
Thank you so much for your story and the impact of, climate anxiety and disasters when it comes to mental health. And the story that you shared is very, relevant to the region of South Asia. So yes, please go ahead, Nereus.
Okay, so during the mental health month, that's me. In one of the places that I work at, we organized, we called it mental health school, but actually it was a mental health, art therapy session. We did it for the health professionals at the hospital because we realized that they are stressed of, a lot of things, a lot of patients. Because the doctor to patient ratio is actually very high when you come to Ghana. So we did a session for them so that they could come and paint, they could come and sing, dance, and then express their feelings to release stress. So I invited one guy from my network, that is the Nereus support network, to come and give a spoken word during the program. Actually, we wanted, because I knew he was good at spoken word, so that's the main reason why I made him do it. But then as soon as he started, I realized that this spoken word that this guy is saying, and it felt personal. So after the program, he reached out to me and then he was telling me that it was about him. How, and I remember we've had this conversation about him having low self-esteem. So it was actually that growing up, he had this low self-esteem, which led to him being depressed and having anxiety and all that. But through him writing up the spoken word and even expressing it has been very therapeutic. And what really helped was after he was done, people applauded him and people also shared experience of how they've also had their sessions of, low self-esteem leading to depression. And then trust me, right after the program, this guy was just invited to come and give a spoken word, not to be even part of the program. But he himself enjoyed the healing even more than the doctors and the nurses that the program was organized for. And then it wasn't just because of how artistic he was, but then it was because of the community validation. Everybody there was able to validate what he was saying, and then the shared vulnerability. They were able to empathize with him and then enjoy how they've also experienced those things before. So this was a time I realized that art is not just about expression, but then it's medicine, it is transformational and it's healing. So this is one of the experiences I have a lot, but this is the one that stands out for me. Yeah, thank you.
Your insights. So I'd
Hello,
like
Ayesha.
to connection. Sorry, did I?
Sorry, Ayesha, I think we've lost you there. Just wait a second.
I apologize. That was my internet. I apologize for that. So thank you. So thank you so much for sharing that story, Nereus, and highlighting the importance of to and we offer this before we take any is what are the barriers, whether cultural, systemic, or institutional, to integrating arts into mental health strategies, and how can youth-led movements overcome these challenges?
Thank you. So the biggest barriers are stigma and lack of institutional support. And actually, mental health is still a taboo in many communities. Basically, for instance, in our country, there are a lot of places still we need to spread awareness. And looking at youth has been leading the movement that can overcome this by using culturally relevant forms of art, music, poetry, dancing to make mental health more relatable. And while building this network that push for policies and investment in creativity and solutions. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Faith. Murad, please go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. If I talk about the barriers, and firstly, it comes to the cultural stigma. Cultural stigma, in a sense, mental health is often overlooked, and the people don't take care of their mental health. At the same time, don't take it so seriously. At the same time, the art is what I said is a luxury thing. People still cannot accept is that intervention or healing tools actually. At the same time, systematic barrier, and most of the national mental health strategy don't include the creative intervention yet. And finally, and third, if I say, it's definitely the funding. Still, we don't have enough funding to work on the mental health in the nexus of the mental health and art actually. But if how we can overcome it take, and storytelling is definitely powerful, but the policymaker and researcher will always want the evidence. So at Psycure, we're combining qualitative stories with the quantitative measures actually. We recently implemented a social and emotional learning program, ACL program, with blending the art-based activities, where we use the WHO well-being scales and other tools to measure their stress and anxiety level. So we implemented it before and after intervention. We see there have a significant changes, and we leverage all of the information and approach our founder and others people so that they can understand art is not just all about the activity and feel good type of things. So they can see after if we implement the art-based activities properly, there have a significant change and benefit that the society can get actually. So I think youth, when we take any initiative, rather than focusing on the storytelling and initiative and talk about the impact, we also need to think about the others people perspective, what the policymaker are thinking, what our investor or donor are thinking. If we implement this activity in research base, if we show the real life data and see the significant changes in that way people, our society are getting the benefit, I think this will work more rapidly rather than taking random initiatives actually.
Thank you for such a comprehensive response to the question, Murad, and highlighting the important factors when it comes to integration. So please, Nereus, help us close this segment of the panel.
Okay, so I'll tackle it from three angles: culturally, systematically, and then institutionally. So culturally, when you come to Ghana specifically, Ghana, I would say, is a very religious country. Because of that, things about mental health are very spiritualized. So talking about, being depressed, I have bipolar. People tend to stigmatize against you because they feel like this is so. Some evil spirits. I don't know where that came from, but I believe that is how our community started. So because of that, people are not really able to express themselves and then open up. And then sometimes the way we are brought up, especially for young men, we are told you have to remain strong. You cannot. Men don't cry. I mean, some of these things makes it very difficult for culturally for people to express themselves. Systematically, let's talk about policies and funding. Our policies don't function in our mental health, I mean, systems. And then they would say we don't have money because we are a middle income country. So they don't see the need for, I mean, art therapy. They would rather buy medicine for people to, because they feel like it would manage the condition for a while, and as soon as the person takes the medication, let's say antidepressant, the person feel okay for a while. So they think that is all. So they feel like art is a very long term something. So they will just let it be. They don't see the need for funding for a lot of art therapy, because some of these art therapy sessions I'm talking about, people tend to pay for it. But in actual sense, because of how beneficial it is, there should be funding allocated for all these things. But it's not like that because of how they don't see how relevant it is. And then also institutionally, people tend to prioritize the normal way of going about mental health therapy, as in the counseling, the medications. Most of the institutions tend to prioritize that as compared to art and other, because our systems, I mean, hasn't really accepted art when it comes to a form of mental health therapy. So these are some of the issues, the gaps that I've seen. And then I think I agree with Murad very, very much when it comes to the research aspect, because our policy makers, I mean, they make the policies. So if you just go and tell them, someone came to join my session and it's okay, how many people, what percentage of people, that is how to do with policymakers. So I concur with him when it comes to research and all that. And then also we should demonstrate the impact. I mean, now we are in a digital world. Let's post so much on it, because some these policymakers are people. They are also on the media. They also read. They also watch. So let's demonstrate the impact. And the last one is build partnership. So if you've seen, let's say, a country, you've seen an organization that is very doing well in art therapy, partner with them. And then as we go on, we'll be able to merge art so much in our mental health therapy. So this is what I would also say when it comes to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comprehensive response, Nereus. So I think concludes the questions that we have for our panelists. So if anyone has any questions in the for our panel, please feel free to ask in the chat box and we will address them. I also just wanted to really highlight a point that Nereus made when it comes to spiritualization of mental health. I think that's very common in countries such as Pakistan as well, where with the discussion of mental health and arts, there's also the discussion of, the spiritual aspect. And I think it's very important that, these factors are addressed. So thank you for raising that, the discussion around that, Nereus. If there are no questions in the chat for our panelists, that means we can conclude the session. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We hope you had a wonderful time. And on to the next segment.